Hi, I'm Miss Morgan, and I'm so excited I get to hang out with you this week. But this is crazy. Everything's upside down. It must have been Miss Leslie. She's always playing tricks on me, just like this week. She told me that she was gonna get me brownies, but all she did was send me a picture of a brownie, just like this. Get it? A brownie? Oh my gosh, I'm so curious about this month. Let's check out some things as we turn them upside down and talk about how Jesus changes everything. Before we talk more about anything, it's time for our Others First challenge. Your challenge this week is you have 30 seconds to say as many family members or friends' names as fast as you can, and we're gonna say them out loud. On your marks, get set, go! Colleen, Chris, Matt, Maddie, Michaela, Macy, Lizzie. I could go on, but we have to wrap this up, challengers. Great job. This week we have not one, but 2 challenges. And I'm gonna tell you challenge 2 in a little bit. All month long, we get to learn about humility. But what is humility? Humility is putting others first by giving up what you think you deserve. We haven't talked much about humility, but it's definitely time. Let's see what more we can learn today.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. And now for an amazing story, inspired by the book of Matthew, chapter 26, verses 36 through 56.
For months, the Jewish religious leaders had been plotting to silence Jesus.
He called us pretenders, snakes!
On the Sunday before Passover, Jesus entered Jerusalem to great cheers from the crowds.
Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord!
But even as the crowd swarmed in to see what Jesus would do and say, one of Jesus' closest followers, Judas, went to the religious leaders with a very sneaky plan.
What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you?
How about a cool 30 pieces of silver?
Jesus knew these plans, but he also knew that his mission was to face those who hated him and let them take him without defending himself. He prepared his closest friends for this during a Passover meal, and then afterwards led them out of the city toward the Mount of Olives. Judas had already left them.
In a little while, you will no longer see me. Then after a little while, you will see me. I came from the Father and entered the world. Now I am leaving the world and going back to the Father.
The air cooled as the evening darkened.
This very night, you will all turn away because of me.
Peter, the most outspoken of Jesus' friends, quickened his step and tightened his hand on the sword he was carrying.
All the others may turn away because of you, but I never will.
What I'm about to tell you is true. It will happen tonight. Before the rooster crows, you will say 3 times that you don't know me.
I may have to die with you, but I will never say I don't know you.
Me too. Same.
By the time Jesus and his friends reached the Garden of Gethsemane, they were exhausted.
Sit here while I go over there and pray.
As the other disciples settled in on the cold, rough ground, Jesus took Peter, James, and John along with him to a grove of ancient olive trees. The weight of what was coming pressed down on him.
My soul is very sad. I feel close to death. Stay here. Keep watch with me.
We're here for you.
We got this. Prayers.
The 3 friends found seats among the knotted tree roots, and Jesus went on a little further. Then suddenly, he fell down on the ground, face first into the dirt. Words poured out from deep inside.
My Father, If it is possible, take this cup of suffering away from me. But let what you want be done, not what I want."
After a short time, Jesus returned to his friends. They had all fallen into restless sleep. Jesus touched Peter's arm.
What? Huh? We're just praying.
Couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour? Watch and pray. Then you won't fall into sin when you are tempted. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak.
We'll stay awake this time. Got you covered.
Again, Jesus threw himself down to pray. His pain was so deep, blood and sweat beaded on his forehead.
My Father, is it possible for this cup to be taken away? But if I must drink it, may what you want be done.
Jesus returned to his friends once more, to find them still sleeping. The agony in his spirit forced Jesus to lay his heart out to God once more. He prayed the desperate words again, begging God to take away what was coming, and at the same time, revealing his complete trust in God's plan.
Let what you want be done, not what I want.
At last, Jesus knew the time had come. He returned to find Peter, James, and John buried deep in sleep. Beyond them, his other followers slept too.
Are you still sleeping and resting?
The disciples struggled through a fog of sleep, blinking and yawning. Below them, torchlight showed an angry mob climbing up the hill. The men were waving swords and clubs, shouting as they came.
Look, the hour has come. The Son of Man is about to be handed over to sinners. Get up, let us go. Here comes the one who is handing me over to them.
Jesus' friends staggered to their feet, and Peter clutched his sword. As the mob marched closer, they could see the man in front of the mob. It was their friend Judas.
Judas? What are you doing?
The mob had been sent by the Jewish religious leaders. Judas had already explained to them that he would greet Jesus with a kiss, so they would know exactly which man to arrest.
Greetings, teacher.
Judas ignored the other disciples and went directly to Jesus, kissing him on the cheek in greeting. Jesus drew back and looked Judas directly in the face.
Friend, do what you came to do.
The mob surged forward as the disciples just stood there, frozen and confused. As men grabbed Jesus, Peter suddenly sprang to life, awkwardly drawing his sword.
Should we use our swords?
Peter didn't wait for an answer, but he struck out wildly. His blade sliced right through the ear of the high priest's servant.
Oh! Stop this!
Jesus touched the servant's ear. Immediately, he was healed.
Put your sword back in its place. Do you think I can't ask my Father for help? He would send an army of more than 70,000 angels right away. But then how would the scriptures come true? They say it must happen in this way.
Jesus turned back to the mob and the men who held him. They hovered there, uncertain, in the flickering light of their torches.
Am I leading a band of armed men against you? Do you have to come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I sat in the temple courtyard teaching, and you didn't arrest me. But all this has happened so that the words of the prophets would come true.
No one could respond to Jesus. Instead, they arrested him and led him away. And his friends who said they'd be with him through anything ran away. Jesus made the choice that would bring life to everyone, but that would cost him everything.
Jesus put others first, setting an example for us. And putting others first isn't always easy. Think about it. Jesus even asked God for help. Let's check out our Bible verse for the month and see what else we can learn. Don't do anything only to get ahead. Don't do it because you are proud. Instead, be humble. Value others more than yourselves. Philippians 2:3 NERV, and that stands for the New International Reader's Version. My favorite part of that verse is value others more than yourself. How can we do that? Let's check out our bottom line, and maybe that will help us understand. Put others first. That can be hard to do, but we're gonna practice all this month. Let's see what our friends from the So-and-So Show are up to.
Thank you.
Yep. Hello, so-and-so friends.
Hey to you and all of our viewers.
From near
and far.
Welcome to the So-and-so Show.
I'm John.
And I'm Brandon.
And we have got a show for you today.
That we do. Why don't you tell them about it, John?
Oh, no, my friend, after you.
I insist.
No,
After you.
no, I insist after you. It's time to play a game we call After You!
And now for everyone's favorite game show, After You.
This is a game that requires humility, where you want to put the other person first. So, after you.
What am I supposed to do?
We're going to balance a cup of water on a book on our heads.
Okay.
Water balancing.
After you! Yes!
Holding your breath in a bucket of water.
After you!
Standing on a box while being hit with a palm frond.
After you. After you. After you. After you.
Nope.
Whoa. Whoa.
Keeping a grape in your mouth.
What does it have to do with humility?
What?
I said, what does this have to...
Oh! After you!
Thanks for playing After You.
What a great game.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm so much more humble than you. I put you first every time.
You did not put me first.
Sure I did.
No, you did not.
Sure I did. You were the first to drop the water, the first to choke on a grape. I put you first in the game, which makes me first in putting you first. Wait a minute. Maybe I should have put you first by telling you to put me first. But if you put me first, because I let you put me first, I'd still be first at putting you first, which means, oh! It was you who were putting me first all along. Well played, Brandon. Well played.
Uh-huh. It's Bible story time with Kellen.
What's up, guys?
Not too much, Kellen. Just being soups humble.
Oh, yeah? Well, then I've got a story for you.
After you, Kellen.
No. I'm humble.
Thank you. Our story picks up just after Jesus shared what he knew would be his last supper with his disciples. His heart was very heavy, so Jesus led his disciples outside to a place called Gethsemane, a kind of garden with olive trees. And Jesus asked Peter, John, and James to keep watch so he could pray. The disciples sat and waited, tired after a full meal, while Jesus went off by himself to pray to God. It was not a happy prayer. Something very bad was going to happen to Jesus that night, and he knew it. He was so sad, so anxious, and he prayed to his Father in heaven with all his might.
My Father, if it is possible, take this cup of suffering away from me. But let what you want be done, not what I want.
He prayed this way for what felt like an hour. But when he returned to his friends, he found them sound asleep.
Couldn't you keep watch with me for 1 hour? Watch and pray. Then you won't fall into sin when you are tempted. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak.
3 times, Jesus asked his disciples to stay awake while he prayed. And each time, his friends fell asleep. And then it happened.
Are you still sleeping? Look, the hour has come. The Son of Man is about to be handed over to sinners. Get up. Let us go. Here comes the one who is handing me over to them.
The disciples watched horrified as Judas, one of their friends, came up to Jesus, followed by a large crowd armed with clubs and swords.
Greetings, Rabbi.
Friend, do what you came to do.
Judas went to Jesus at once and kissed him. This was Judas' signal to the armed men that Jesus was the one they should arrest. When they saw the signal, they grabbed Jesus. That's when Peter leapt into action. Peter took out a sword and lifted it. He swung the sword at the servant of the high priest and cut off his right ear.
Yeah, go Peter.
Woo! Yes, and then Jesus' disciples fought off the armed men and brought Jesus safely back home. Thanks for the story, Kellen.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not exactly what happened.
Oh, don't ruin this happy ending for me, Kellen.
So Peter cut off the servant's ear. But then, before things got completely out of hand, Jesus spoke out to the angry crowd.
Put your sword back in its place. All who use the sword will die by the sword. Do you think I can't ask my Father for help? He would send an army of angels right away. But then, how would the scriptures come true? They say it must happen in this way.
Then Jesus touched the man's ear and healed him. But Jesus' disciples, his friends, ran, leaving Jesus alone. He was arrested and taken away. To be continued.
That's not happy at all.
I know, but that's what happened. In fact, things got even worse after that.
Worse?
I don't get why Jesus was arrested in the first place. He didn't do anything wrong.
True.
And if he could have called an army of angels to save the day, why didn't he do that?
Well, it's like what Jesus said when he was praying. He told God, "Let what you want be done, not what I want." Sure, he didn't deserve to be arrested. And sure, he could have easily done something miraculous to save himself. But Jesus knew that God had a bigger plan, so he put God first. And really, by putting God first, he was putting us first, because we were the reason God sent Jesus in the first place.
Oh, so it is a happy ending?
You'll have to wait until next time to find out.
Ah, rats!
Or, you could ask somebody how it ends, or read it in the Bible. It's a very famous story.
Great idea, Kellen. Thank you for the story.
Yeah, thanks.
No problemo. I'll see you guys later.
Later. Okay, so now we know where to turn to find out how to put others first.
Yeah, the After You game.
No, Jesus.
Oh, right. Jesus.
Jesus put his friends first, even though they fell asleep when they should have been keeping watch.
His enemies, too. He actually healed one of the guys who came to arrest him.
He put everyone first, which brings me to a question.
Oh, reveal the question.
How do you put others first?
By letting them order before me at a restaurant.
Oh, yeah, or by watching what someone else wants to watch on TV.
See, that's why you sat through 14 hours of baking shows with me last week.
Yeah, and I still don't know what fondant is.
You know what? You win, friend. You win, my friend. You are definitely the most humble person alive.
Not a competition.
Well, you're number one.
No.
You're number one. You're number one. No, you're putting me first, so I'm number one. No, you're number two. You're number two.
Talk about it together.
You're number two.
How do you put others first? And we'll see you next time on the So-and-So Show. Can we go now?
Oh, after you.
Okay.
See? Now I'm number two. I'm number two. I'm number two. Wait. Ancient Romans used to use grapes as earplugs.
I can't hear you. I've got a grape in my ear.
I have a grape in my ear. I can't hear you. Do you know what they used to use grapes for as well? Like so. When they swim, oh, you knocked one of my, I can hear.
Wow, what Jesus went through can be really hard to think about. He was willing to die for us, and he did die for us. We'll learn the good part of that story next week. Just like our friends in the So and So show said, we can read ahead in the Bible to see what the good part is. And trust me, it's really good. Let's all ask God to give us the strength we need to put others first. Let's close our time with one last challenge. Our challenge is the Upside Down Challenge. Now this one, I want to see as many pictures as I can. Your challenge is to do any of your favorite things, but upside down. It can be a handstand or even holding your favorite toy upside down. Whatever you want to do, we want to see it. You can ask your parents to post your picture on Instagram. You can tag @BeachCitiesKids, or they can email it to familyministries@beachcities.org. We'll repost your pictures so we can all see each other's. I might even ask some of our leaders to do the challenge too. You have 60 seconds right now to do your Upside Down Challenge. Ready, set, go! Here's what I can do. Well done, challengers. I hope you remember to ask your parents to post the pictures, tag us on Instagram, or email them to us. Don't forget your God time cards. Just like every week, we sent them to your parents. And remember to do your Upside Down Challenge. I can't wait to see your pictures. I'll see you next time. Happy almost Easter. Bye.